Welcome, viewer, wherever you are. It's a moment, another time that we are meeting on our program, Business Tuesday. Business Tuesday is a program where we host entrepreneurs, we host executives, we host people who are doing serious ventures in terms of business, both nationally and internationally. And for that reason, today we'll be having a guest who is also expected or is expecting to be one of our investors in this country called Kenya. And you know, it's always a good sign to find and see people willing to come and put their investments in this country. It's a sign that everything for us is right, and it's also a sign of good things to come by. And for that reason, I want you to enjoy this moment with me and with us here, because I've got a guest who's come all the way from Europe, and he will love to tell us that in a while. But it's something I believe is going to be interesting for you. So just keep it here. Let's move on. Let's have it. It is the Colonel, it is the Business Tuesday show that must always give you the next perspective of business. That's the way we say it here. Welcome, sir, and I hope you are feeling well and really get warm about this country called Kenya. Thank you very much for coming, and please welcome your name and perhaps your journey, why you are here, and then we can go on and roll from there.
Asante sana, my friend.
Good.
It's very good.
You've known that.
Oh,
Asante sana, which means thank you very much.
Yes, exactly. Exactly.
So welcome to the show, sir.
Thank you very much. So it's a pleasure to be here. I'm very humbled and honored to be on this show that is going to be televised across Kenya, with my little contribution that I want to do here. My name is Thomas. I'm from Germany. I'm an entrepreneur. I'm a CEO of a company that is called Solar Kiosk.
Solar Kiosk.
Solar Kiosk is a company that has been active in Kenya actually since 2014. 2014 we came to Kenya and we set up East Africa's biggest solar-powered rural retail network in Kenya, covering from Machakos over to Kisumu, up to Eldoret, large parts of the country, going in the rural locations. So we really, and you see this little pin here, I will tell you a story about it later. We, you know, you can consider us as this kind of impact investors, impact entrepreneurs that really want to bring change into what is wrong in this world. And we come with the vision, and I come from Germany, a much developed country. We can talk about this a little bit later. But there's a lot of things in these days that go wrong. We have climate change, we have CO2 emissions, we have poverty, we have droughts happening in this world. And the developed countries are partly responsible for this, isn't it? In our development, we used to pollute the environment, we used to blast out all these emissions to be where we are. And we want nonetheless that the African countries themselves can develop with renewable and green energies and not making the same mistake that we guys did. So that is on the core of what we want to do, and that is why I'm here again. I have been here 15 times, so Asante sana, I know it very well.
So this is your 15th visit in this country?
Yes, sir.
Quite telling, so interesting. You've just mentioned that you've done, in 2014, you were here, you unveiled some very massive kind of impact investment in terms of renewable energy, clean energy for that matter. I want to just take you back a little bit. Just from your assessment of things, why did you guys decide that it's going to be Kenya?
For us, Kenya is a very interesting country. It's so diverse. If you want to, you know, Africa in its entirety is diverse. If you want to learn about diversity, you can just come to Kenya. You can go and you see the Maasai communities, you can go to Kisumu and see the Luos, you can go to so many parts where you have a totally different business environment in which you have to move. The ones are pastoralists, the others are fishers, the others agriculture. Everybody has another mindset, and when electric coming up, they hate each other, and when the elections are gone, they're all Kenyans again. It's a very good sandbox to be in. It's a very developed country in that terms. It has quite improved infrastructure, which is important for an investor to come, isn't it? And it's English speaking, which makes it a little bit more easy for many investors to come in. I speak French, so I could go to West Africa, but a lot of the world is dominated by English speech. So you come to Kenya, you can meet people all over the place that speak perfect English, which makes it easy for a foreign investor like me to come to this country.
Great, Thomas. Now, I want you to also just to give us some highlight onto why your project or your business is seen as, you see it like it would do well in Kenya. And comparatively to what you did in 2014, are you guys looking at a surge in terms of profitability? Are you looking at a surge in terms of progress and development of your business? Or you want to restart it once again?
Yes, we want to restart it once again. We actually put the foot in the door now. I invested myself into a pharmaceutical company that is based in Kisumu. And I did that with the very reason because COVID came up and I saw that the country wasn't prepared for it. There was no infrastructure, testing was very low, and testing is the essence to fight this crisis. So we said, in Germany, we have very, very reliable COVID tests. What we did is, we came to Kenya, invested, and we registered this German brand COVID test. This is registered with the pharmaceutical boards. We invested money to open a pharmaceutical company, and we want to bring this test that is the most reliable test on the market that you can find at affordable prices to Kenya. Which comes into what I actually want to do. I want to be able to support Kenyan people with high quality goods at affordable prices. Before we sat down, we have discussed about German quality, German attention to quality, Mercedes-Benz, everybody knows it, all the big car brands, Sennheiser, all those big brands from Germany, they're very well known for their quality. And mind you, when you are in Germany, they're actually not that expensive. But once they come to Kenya, with the taxes on top, with the logistics and any other, it's crazy. And then they become really, really expensive. Yeah. But it doesn't have to be that way. There can be quality brought into this country from Germany, and there's quality all over the world. We, as an expert, pool these quality things together, and we want to bring it here to the market. I am going to, but that is a later stage, restart my business in a much broader scale. And I will take time in a little bit to explain you what I aim to do here and starting in Rwanda and then coming to Kenya on a much broader scale, because I think on the one hand side, it will be a profitable business. There is no doubt about it. We know the business, so we are very upbeat on what we can do. But it has to help rural communities in Kenya to lift them out of the poverty, to give them a reason to actually develop the rural areas on their own help by creating a circular economy there and give the people a reason to stay and not to migrate to Nairobi and urban areas, live in Kibera, and then maybe later even, travel to Europe.
For the benefit of our viewers, perhaps you, should I call it your point to just give a brief summary of how the solar kiosk thing works, because the concept might not have gotten to every end of this country. But then just a summary of what the concept is all about, so that whoever is watching from across the country would easily buy the concept, and then they become part of the idea even before its rollout.
Absolutely. So, and then I will step back in the history and explain you where the idea comes from. And then we will move through the different stages to explain you what it actually will be today. Yeah? So when we started this, That was all in the beginning of small quality solar appliances to come to the market here. I'm sure you're familiar with the D-Light brand, with the Sun King brand, with all of those brands that are now, you know, very, very deeply penetrated into the population. People accept it. When we started, these companies were on the startup stage. We were on the startup stage. But we said these kind of products must reach every village that doesn't have a connection to the grid, that doesn't have electricity, where the people work with kerosene lamps and with freestone fire kind of appliances. We have to change that. But we also said, when I go there and I bring these products, and for those people, mind you, it's still a big investment to buy such a solar home system, right? If they do this, they must trust me that I bring a quality appliance, otherwise they will not buy it. I can only do this when I'm there. How can I go there as a business if there's no infrastructure, there's no electricity for me to conduct my business? It's not working. So I had to invent this solar kiosk that we put all over the country that had integrated solar power. There was a TV that people could charge mobile phones, so people could do passport copies, and printing of documents and everything. And we wanted to distribute these products through this kiosk, promising the people this quality and also after-sales services that if anything goes wrong, they can just go to the kiosk and exchange it. Bring this kind of services and products and after-sales services to the next level. This we did, and then actually we met very bright-minded entrepreneurs that said, oh, I have electricity. I can run this shop, but I do more business with it. And then they started on their own account to build a cinema next to the kiosk. And they attracted a large crowd. There was a big TV, and he sold tickets for the cinema. And the cinema was full all the time. Then we said, the needs in the community go far beyond having a light at home. The needs in such communities go from water, over energy, over healthcare, over education, over transport. There is a lack of services of all those sectors in such a community. Young people, they are in the evening at 6 o'clock, it is dark, there is nothing for them to do, they cannot watch the TV, they hang around, there is no education at some stage, they will get frustrated and they will migrate to Nairobi. How can I fight this? And then we thought, okay, it is time to copy the mall concept into the rural locations and offering all those services to the people, which will help the community to really grow and develop and come out of the poverty in its entirety. If I tackle all those fields, plus agriculture, plus other services that really matter to such communities. And this is what I want to do. I want to build those rural community malls that will host business, leisure, entertainment, productive use, agricultural pre-processing and other things that bring value into the community. And then the value goes into the business, and then together I can grow. But if the community doesn't grow, I cannot grow. So it's a closed circle. I must work with those people, and the people, they will work with us.
Well, you mentioned Rwanda at some point when you were discussing this. Is something similar to this happening in Rwanda right now?
Yes, we are starting in Rwanda. We're actually building the first malls very, very soon. I just come from Kigali, where I was at the Sustainable Energy for All conference. It was a very big conference with over 1,000 people talking about access to energy, clean cooking, and any other related matters. And in the same time, I was together with my partners organizing the business to make it operational and start building those malls. So we will start in Rwanda, and then once we are in Rwanda, then we will look at the Pan-African growth, and Kenya is very high on our list.
Okay, thank you. That's nice. It's nice to also understand that there is a possibility of rolling out something that's good. Alternative energy sources is a big problem to our country, and we know as a country that is only developing right now, there's need for serious and very efficient alternative energy sources that would help us do a lot of things. Any slight in inflation actually hurts the people. When you have to buy electricity, you have to pay it from the grid. It's becoming so exorbitant. Very many guys cannot afford that, and then it pushes guys deeper into crisis and poverty. And if that is coming, is it so affordable to our people? I think that's what everybody would want to know. Now that Thomas is bringing this around, how affordable is this? Because we know there are those ones that you have to pay, like, I don't know, 40 shillings every day. Another one you have to pay 100 shillings every day until you complete. The moment you don't pay that, it's disconnected and you can't move on.
Yeah.
Is it different from this, or is the same something?
So this is called pay as you go. And you, as you rightfully say, you pay kidogo, and then, you know, after a certain time it belongs to you. And mind you, it's still a very attractive model to own a solar product this way, because you get completely independent from any energy costs. The energy costs are rising, the fuel prices are rising, and it's just going to get worse, right? And there is this crisis in Ukraine, but there will be other crises. It's not going to get better, huh? And there is some services in the utilities here, I understand, that are also not very reliable, so you don't want to sit in the dark all time long, right? But what we are doing, let me come back to that, is a little bit different. Let's not talk about quality anymore, because what I implement as an entrepreneur has to be of highest quality. Why? Because I want to reduce my maintenance and operation costs. So it has to be high quality, and we have the high quality solar already, and we are going to implement it here. But, my friend, the game changes. I'm also, as you know, by the side, I'm also helping the people to avail these solar products, definitely. But I want to push it to the next level. I want to use solar to produce something with it. I don't want to just have a light. I want to be able to go in a community where there's a lot of farmers that have grain, and I want to put a posh mill there that is solar powered. And then together with the farmers, we will create value in this community by taking their grain, putting it through the posh mill, and then actually having flour, which gives them more money in the pocket because it's more expensive to buy flour. I will use energy to create value in a community through various means. I will introduce e-mobility on those spots, so you don't need how much is a liter of petrol these days? I heard
in Kenya it's 150 shillings.
150 shillings. How much was it 3 months ago?
It was about 120. I mean, it keeps rising every other single month.
It keeps rising.
It keeps rising.
It keeps rising.
It is the government subsidy that is helping it not go to 180 or 175,
exactly,
somewhere around there.
Exactly.
Otherwise, if the government wasn't giving this subsidy of about 64 billion shillings to the oil companies, Kenyans would be screaming right now.
There you are.
Yeah.
There you are. And that's part of this. Everything, all those energy costs keep on rising, and there is renewable energies. If I put you an electric vehicle there that can drive around, you can save those energy costs. And by the way, understand this right, this is an important topic for me that I want to raise now, because you see me as the Muzungu investor that comes here, you know. No, it's going to be an African company. We're going to have African leadership in there, and we are going to work with fantastic African companies. I'm working with a couple of companies here in Kenya that are startups, but that are working in e-mobility. I'm working with one company called Asobo that does electric motors on boats for the fishers in Kisumu Lake. They don't have to buy petrol anymore. They can run the boat with electricity. There is a lot of, you know, amazing companies out there that we want to work together with and give them the option to really, you know, bring their products, their much needed products, into those communities where they will help the community to thrive, right? I can give you many examples of these kind of companies that we are going to work with, that are working in the cold storage space. Do you know how much food and agriculture products go to waste because there's no adequate storage?
That's too much.
Have you heard the number?
It's too much.
Yeah, there's numbers between 40 and 60% of all agricultural products going to waste because there is no adequate storage.
Lack of adequate storage.
If I bring adequate storage, we can push the yield of all Kenyan agricultural products by 40 to 60%. We can get more independent from import of agricultural products, which doesn't make sense because you have a very fertile country in many parts that could nourish the whole population. But you need to go deep, deep into the chain where the food is coming from and create value in these communities. Then you can maybe solve a riddle, right?
Well, it's Thomas. Very, very brilliant ideas here to help us spur the economy. In fact, I'm touched by the agricultural produce that go to waste. If we add proper storage facilities, it would even increase our export to other countries. It would earn Kenya even more revenue. So much of our revenue goes to waste simply because we cannot have adequate storage facilities just for our produce that we can produce here locally. And that is a call for a lot of thought for us as Kenyans. And for that reason, we want to take a short break. And when we come back, we'll still be at it. It's so interesting. And just how prepared from their feasibility study are they thinking, or they look at Kenya and other African countries as potential places? Because you've got to do some serious feasibility study to find out how your business is going to do and see how well it's going to thrive. That's the next area we'll be delving in once we come from the break. Don't go away. It's the Tuesday, Business Tuesday program on Lolwe TV. So just keep tuned. Welcome, viewer. If you're joining right now, we are at the second segment of this discussion. Today, we are lucky to host Mr. Thomas, all the way from Stuttgart in Germany, who is a potential investor who wants to invest especially on alternative energy sources in this country. From his explanations in the first segment of this discussion, it's pointing out at a very, very, very big lacuna of sorts in terms of energy. Energy is everything. In any country that energy is insufficient, then we can never have enough development. And that only pushes guys down into the poverty line. And for that reason, it is something that I'm so interested about to want to hear. And I just want to know from Thomas, just from a feasibility study, we know there are investors who've come in Kenya. They've tried a thing or two in the agricultural sector or in other sectors, and it's never been so good sometimes for them. Some would come say, the cost of production in Kenya is so high, the taxes are so exorbitant, and all these kind of explanations that businessmen would rather want to give. As an investor, and because you're interested in something here, what and how do you feel Kenya would give you the return? You've explained a lot of things. You've been to the rural areas, you're working with the people in the Lake Victoria, you've been into Nyanza, but still, when you look at this scientifically, when you look at it from an economical point of view, is it business worthy for your investment? Because we are also excited to want to see you come here, ground your operations, have more Kenyans employed, and we'll be very happy. When we know an investment is not supposed to carry us to the next 5 years, then we get jittery and look at it like this is going to be another job loss, and again we'll be pushed down to where we were, or even further down the poverty line. Just from a feasibility study, how do you look at it? 10, 15 years or so?
So 10, 15 years is difficult to say because I learned that Kenya is thinking in election cycles and we have one coming up very soon, right?
Not really.
No, I'm making a little joke here, allow me that. But from a point of view of feasibility studies, we have done a feasibility study of all African countries on a number of KPIs that matter a lot to us. But mind you that in a couple of countries we have previously worked before. And those were Kenya, Tanzania, Rwanda, Ethiopia, and Ghana. And I accumulate all my wealth of know-how on how I can do business in all those countries. And I keep on coming back to Kenya, because Kenya has something very unique for me. The people are, some you go in those communities, it's difficult for them, but they don't give up. You have a tremendous potential in your country from young people that are hungry to do something, that want to do their own business, that want to work, that will go very far to support their business that they're having. So let's make it a local ownership. You asked me about returns. Yes, I can get more return if I do some business here in Nairobi and I go in the IT sector, or I do something in another sector that will bring me large returns. But I come back to what I said initially. I'm an impact investor, which is sometimes a little bit more patient with a little bit lower returns, but on the other hand side, pushes a certain agenda. And the agenda of achieving sustainable development goals that come from eradicating poverty, giving access to safe drinking water, SDG 7 renewable energy, and we can go through that whole, food security. One of the things we are going to import is the food fortification. Because there's a lot of malnutrition in Rwanda and in Kenya, we want to introduce, vitamins and supplements into the daily food of the people in order to get the population healthy. This is just one of the many, many goals of the Sustainable Development Goals that big countries have set out. But we want to do it here, and we want to do it on the ground. We want to stop talking, we want to do it, and we can do it in Kenya, and we know it's gonna work. Will I be very, very rich in the end? Will I sit with Rockefellers on the table? No, maybe not, but it's not my aim. My aim is to really change something, and I can do it, but I can only do it with local involvement. I came here to introduce these rapid tests, to introduce the vitamins and everything with a Kisumu company, because they know the market much better than I do, don't they, right? So I must involve local people, and I must make them kind of responsible, but also, be involved in my enterprise that I will set up here. That is the key for me. I cannot come as a foreigner and just try to do it on my own. It will fail, because I don't know how the people think, how the people act, how they take a decision to purchase this or that. When I move with the local people, then I can do it.
A good concept, community ownership and community participation, key to any success in any investment. And Thomas says this as it is, because of course, is a foreign investor, it needs the locals to actually penetrate the market, learn their ways of how they live and how they can do business, how to meander through the business world in the locality. Now, other than this, you also mentioned that the COVID-19 thing, well, in Kenya or in Africa as a whole, it didn't impact so negatively like it did in other areas like in Europe and let's say Asia and South America for that instance, and even America itself. It was so big there, the numbers were overwhelming, it was such a sad story to tell. Now, you've just mentioned about a pharmaceutical enterprise that you also feel that you want to venture in, and COVID being central to what you want to do. Given the subsiding numbers of COVID-19 cases and looking at the scenario right now, it's something now that people have known how to manage and live with. How would this get into the market? And what are the prospects of any success if there should be?
Okay. COVID comes in waves. Right now we have been very, very low with the numbers in Kenya. But mind you, yesterday already the numbers were published. It is going back up. And in Germany we already have incidences again over 1,000. So COVID is here to stay. Why is COVID here to stay? Because we simply have not managed to vaccinate everybody. And we didn't reach the herd immunity that is needed.
Vaccinated.
It's not vaccinated. Very easy. Now why has Kenya not been impacted so much with COVID? And I hope the Minister of Health is not going to watch this because I'm going to get in trouble. There's two sides of it.
Yeah.
You have a very young population that is, COVID especially impacted, the deadly impact was especially on the older population, on the older generation. Here you have a very young generation. That doesn't mean that, you're exempt from the risks of catching COVID and then, having a drastic, pursuit of the sickness. But the second part, and that's the even more important part that I worry about, and I have worked a lot with the United Nations, CDC, WHO on this topic, is currently you in this country, but in many other African countries, you do not have the adequate health infrastructure to even be able to say how deep COVID penetrated. It's not possible. If you go to those health centers that partly we help to electrify, that there's just a light, how do you want to do testing out there? If you cannot do this, you are not able to tell me if there is COVID there or if there's not COVID there.
The gravity of the problem.
If somebody dies in a rural community, can you go and do a post-mortem examination in a laboratory and tell me what this person died of? You cannot. And, that translates through. I understand, that it is very difficult. For us, it was easy. We have a stable government. We're a rich country. Everybody could stay home. We could do social distancing. And so we got COVID catch very, very quickly. But in Kenya, and mind you, and we all pray that this doesn't happen, but if there's a new variant coming out that will be even more deadly, if you don't have the capacity to test and then to do the triage, it will march through the population. And that is what worries me the most. And I'm not alone with this. There's many, many experts that are worried with this. And then after COVID, what will be the next sickness? So the first thing for me is to really offer a chance for the people to get tested and to really know, do they have COVID or not, at affordable prices. And it must be reliable. And once I have that, then we can start really working on the ground with all the COVID concerns. If I can be able to penetrate in a large number over all the population, so the whole country knows their status, the CDC can monitor the numbers, we can start catching where is the different, outbreaks and where do we need, to work with the communities to contain it. Only then we would be able. And, we had that same talk since the Ebola crisis, since all those infectious disease crises. COVID is just a new one, and there will be another one coming for sure. We need to really also focus on the infrastructural
There's one that is doing rounds right now called monkeypox.
Monkeypox.
Monkeypox. I mean, it's here with us now. It could be succeeding COVID. Who knows? Another big problem for the world.
And I mean, expert predicted this a long time ago. The Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, all those guys, that run around, they predicted that this will happen. And the cycles are getting shorter
now.
Of such sicknesses coming to the population. Now we have the monkeypox. What will be next? The Nyama Choma disease? I don't know. Something that. And you need to work on. And it's not only because the COVID tests, because COVID is here. We need to work on a reliable distribution chain for medicines, for testing capacity, to reinforce the infrastructure from a healthcare standpoint of view, so that the nation as an entirety will be ready to fight the next crisis, basically.
So actually, on this particular platform now, yours is a prospective investment for containing any future surge of this kind of happenings. Like now we know so well, monkeypox is around here. It would give us another new challenge, and COVID would just be like a kid's play. However, it's interesting. With all this, somebody wonders, why is Thomas not engaging KEMRI, Kenya Medical Research Institute directly, or CDC, or a whole Kenya branch, to just do this business for himself, make his money and go away?
Because I just told you, for me it matters to bring a quality kind of a test kit to the market that people can afford. And these are the people here. They need to be able to afford it, otherwise they would never do a test. And then you can never move forward, right? Yeah. And the only way for me was that to come here, and it was a hard way. It was a very, very difficult to get this proven test kit even registered here, you know. And I thank my friends from the Pharmacy and Poison Board that made it possible to happen finally. But now that it's here, we want to make sure that there is affordability in the quality aspect to bring this. And healthcare is one aspect we will tackle, right? I told you before, right? It's healthcare, energy, and so on and so forth, right? Energy, let's talk about energy. In each of my hubs, I will have a vaccination fridge, of course. Once we decide, okay, we're ready, we have the vaccines, no more excuse not to give it to the population, because we will have the vaccination fridge there. It must be. It must be.
Well, quite telling. I wish you came with these ideas in 2018, just before we were all found flat-footed, and it was so crazy. There were no vaccines. There was nothing. There was no even the you know, a point comes where even you know, the know-how, the technical know-how to do it is not even there. I'm happy that you're bringing this round on board. Perhaps you would prepare a number of guys in this field for any eventuality of this sort. So our preparedness in terms of detection of diseases, illnesses, outbreaks, pandemics would just be something that is better than what we had in the post or pre-COVID moments. And as we go down into this, because the discussion is getting even more juicier, as we go more and more into this, and because again time is not on our side, I would love to ask you now, it seems you're zeroing in on health and energy. And now what you say is, you want to do is impact investment, impact entrepreneurship. And indeed, from what you've explained, I've heard you don't want these things to go through the government. You want to give it to the people. And this is a new concept. Now, to give it to the people, is there any specific strategy other than just involving the community? Because involving the community is another thing, and then the strategy to have this thing get down there is another challenge. And I think maybe in your very good research somewhere, you must have had this in mind. So, or that is not supposed to be given out. It's a business secret.
It's not a business secret. I can tell you how we are going to do it, and everybody's invited to try it. But the devil is in the detail, as you know, right? Everything sounds easy when I explain it, and then when you really want to do it, it becomes difficult, right? And if you didn't do it, I invite everybody to do the same, because I can move so fast, and then if I have other people that do the same, both of us can move so fast, right? So I invite everybody to do the same, and I would actually not be bothered at all. As I explained to you before, I will be focusing on establishing these impact hubs, these community hubs, but I will bring other companies into these hubs that are there to work with me together. I don't need to do everything on myself. I will bring fantastic young companies from the market here, Asobo, Baridi, all those guys. There's a fantastic company out here that invents solar-powered food carts. Fantastic, they can keep food warm that will be sold on the street. There's solar panels that the energy can be charged. I will bring all these people in. I don't have to do everything on my own, right? I care about the healthcare. I care about connecting these communities. I care about agriculture and retail because I'm a retailer by heart. And then I will bring other people in. I have a fantastic company that is called Water Kiosk. Is a Kenyan company that builds water purification systems that are running on the coast, that are running in many, many parts on islands where the people don't have access to safe water. I invite them to come in because I can provide them with electricity. They can conduct their business within. It's a partnership model that involves local companies more than ever. And the effect of this will be job creation, will be entrepreneurial opportunities, and many other things. And it will trickle down in kind of a hubs and spokes model. Of course, we need to start in Nairobi, but we will very, very quickly, you know, establish, you know, a logistical, you know, map of where we will grow out into the communities.
Well, I think we have a minute to go, and it's a minute that I want you to also give us this assurance to our people. Yes, we know the West has been the biggest contributor towards what today we call is the erosion of our system. I mean, we call it whatever you want to call it, but we know the emissions from the West have actually done so much damage to the environment. And all these things that we're trying to do, part of it is to restore our environment. It's good that at one point you accepted that, yes, the developed countries have been contributing so greatly into this. And do you think they are willing, like you are willing, as countries, not as individuals, to also come and pump in alternative sources of trying to regenerate, if not to conserve, what is already remaining in the ozone layer? What is your take in this in the next half a minute?
Half a minute to solve the ozone problem. The best thing that is out there right now is that we as a developed nations are taking responsibility. We are financing through carbon credits very interesting projects all over the world. But for me it is most important that, you know, people on the ground get access to those carbon credits that are there. It's a way to invest, it's a way to prosper, it's a way to make startups here that want to do business responsible and move with renewable energies instead of blasting, you know, oil in the air. So let's work on that, and let's work on connecting fantastic companies that are here to these opportunities that will come to the market through carbon credits and then through other technologies that can tackle these issues.
Well, what else should I say? This discussion shouldn't have ended now. So interesting as it goes by, but because of the interest of time, I think we'll have to stop there. This is just the beginning of this discussion. I would love that we get even more reactions on this show. I know perhaps you are there wanting to ask very many questions. Just please send in the questions via our normal channels, and we shall give them to Mr. Thomas. If he's in a position to come back and answer them, it will be so nice. If you can do a teleconference on that, it would be so nice as well. But I want to promise you that this is the first ever engagement that we've had where the West is accepting that we must do something together to ensure that we bring back our environment, if not only to conserve it, but then let's preserve what is already there. Thank you so much for choosing Kenya and Africa to do this wonderful project. We will stand with you, pray with you that it comes into fruition, and hope that many of us would enjoy even in this. Maybe Nico Kelly would one day say, okay, let me leave the mics behind the behind the mics, and then the cameras go and do something in the in the rural areas for solar kiosks and things like that. It will be a wonderful thing, and I believe many young people in Kenya today are looking at this with a lot of hope that it's going to change their lives in a way. And they will be participating in also bringing back our society, bringing back our environment to what it was. And that's a very fantastic initiative. Thank you very much for having shown up. Thank you very much for coming. Say hi to everybody in Germany, in Stuttgart exactly. Tell them that in Kenya, we love you guys so much, and we shall partner in this so greatly. To the viewer, keep on talking to us, bring in the questions, any comments, any reactions, because if we don't do this, we might not know the impact of what we've just done. I know out of this, even new ideas would come. And why not? Thomas would want to welcome them. Anyway.
Always.
Till we meet again, it's been Tuesday, Business Tuesday show, and I have been your host, Nico Kello. Let's hope that next time again, we have it the same way we've done it. Thank you very much for having been with us. Thank you very much, sir, for having chosen to be in this show.
Karibu.
Thank you very much. Karibu sana.
Karibu sana.